you make me feel so down. Sometimes you are combo, but right now I wanna hold you close. Right now, right now, right now, right now. Hold you close right now, right now, right now, right now. Sometimes you bobo my mama, you bobo my papa. Sometimes I bobo your mama, bobo your papa. You are con low, you are combo. Sometimes things fall apart.
Capture this event as well. So this evening is about the book launch. It's a dinner, but we're specifically going to be taking a look at real estate through the eyes of Dr. Stephen Akintayo. Anything and everything about you, if you want it to last beyond your time, through generations, you put it in a what? Put it in a what? In this case, it's in a book. They now put it online. The adage has always been that if you want to hide anything from a black man, you put it inside a what? Someone said pictures, but that one can work nowadays. But we have two very interesting books here: the ABC of America's Real Estate Investment and the Global Real Estate Investment Handbook. Those two, yes, you can clap. Thank you very much. I'm giving you 50 copies of the book for clapping first. Dr. Stephen giving you side eye. So as you can see on this side of the hall, we have the books in this wonderful Christmas package. And the proceeds of this book, when that time comes, is going to something phenomenal. That's the profits from the proceeds of this book. It's going to a food bank both in America and here in Nigeria. And I think that deserves a round of applause. Texas, to be specific, am I correct? It's not limited to Texas, but we're going to start off with Texas and of course back here in Nigeria. There's something I read and it has been part of me. Everything you have, whether it's gifts,
Forbes Business Council, and a recipient of several prestigious awards, including the Forbes Best of Africa, Leading Investment Coach and Real Estate Mogul by Forbes Best of Africa Award. He is the chairman of G-Text Holdings and the founder of Stephen Akintayo Foundation. G-Text Holdings is the mother company of 11 subsidiaries with a highly innovative and young workforce. These subsidiaries include G-Text Homes, G-Text Land, Stephen Akintayo Foundation, G-Vest, G-Text Farms, G-Text and Associates, G-Text Academy, G-Text Soft, G-Text Hub. G-Text Holdings has several branches in Nigeria, which include Lagos State, Ibadan, Abeokuta, Asaba, Abuja, and Port Harcourt. Other offices are in Dubai, the UK, and the US, and the company plans to extend operations to other African countries like Ghana, Rwanda, and Uganda. Dr. Akintayo Real Estate Firm has a plan to build 25,000 green and smart homes with golf courses, polo clubs, mall, hotel, hospitals, schools, and universities across Africa by the year 2035, and control another set of 25,000 properties outside of Africa with a total real estate asset worth $40 billion by the year 2035. Dr. Stephen Akintayo is also the host of the Global Property Brokers Conference, the largest brokers conference in Africa. Now renamed the Global Wealth Festival, several renowned speakers like Grant Cardone, Brian Serhant, Dr. John Maxwell, and others have been brought on the platform. Dr. Akintayo has hosted some of the world's most renowned speakers on his platforms like Robert Kiyosaki, Brian Tracy, Les Brown, Dan Locke, Toby and Tomi Arayomi, Toby Adegboyega, and several others. He is the host of the Investment Chat in a Rolls-Royce, which teaches people about different investment opportunities around the globe. Learning Luxury Show, a show that educates on the benefits of owning luxury and monetizing it, and Big Talk Show, aimed at enlightening youths and the general public on election-related issues in order to build the new Nigeria. He is also the host of the Billionaire Habits podcast, Burj Khalifa series in Dubai. You can watch them on the Billionaire Habits podcast. Dr. Stephen is also the author of 42 books. His latest are The Billionaire Habits for Pastors, Billionaire Habits for Entrepreneurs, and Becoming a Billionaire Land Banker. All his books can be found in Dr. Stephen's books. To book him for speaking engagements, email ej@akintayo.com and contact the number on your screen for more inquiries.
Being part of this. The next item on our very brief agenda is to get a speech from the author, basically to give you an overview as to why we're here, what led to him writing these books, what has real estate got to do with anything. Do you have to be in real estate to understand real estate? What are the benefits of real estate, not just in Nigeria, but also outside the country? We live in an economy where you are a citizen of Nigeria, but you are a global citizen, which means that you can operate in any time zone in the world from anywhere in the world. We are not restricted by geographical boundaries anymore. And real estate is one thing that Dr. Stephen Akintayo is very good at, well known for, and is here to share that knowledge with you. Ladies and gentlemen, please a round of applause for the one and only Dr. Stephen Akintayo.
Please have your seat. Two books, and each box has three copies each, so that's 6 in each box. But basically, let me start with the first one, which is the Global Real Estate Investment Handbook. I noticed, particularly when we started expanding to outside Nigeria, right? UK, Dubai, and now US. A lot of people started asking, wait, I really need to understand what does it take to just wake up and then go to another country and say you want to do real estate, right? People, began to ask a lot of questions. And as much as if we were to do seminars, having to charge as much as $2,000 for seminars because we are having to take days for them. The earliest is like 2 days. So I said to myself, why not make it easy by having a book? I believe this is probably going to be arguably the only book in the world, right, that covers 4 continents as regards real estate. I thought you were going to clap about that. Okay? And for me, I'm super proud of what we've been able to do with that, how we've been able to make it extremely detailed.
Just a little.
Give it background and some context. What we've also done with the book is to also give a few highlights. Unfortunately, I'm not sure I saw projects in Dubai in this. I only saw the US, but Mr. Barry, am I correct or I missed it?
We have case studies for the 4 continents there. We have US mostly in that.
No, I'm talking about the global real estate investment.
Yeah.
I didn't see our project. So one of the things we talked about was to add pictures of our projects.
That's in the ABC. That's in the ABC.
No. ABC is the one for America.
Yeah.
Right. Well, global real estate investment handbook is the one that covers 4 continents. So that's the one that needs to have what we are doing in each continent. But just check it.
Okay.
And be sure it's there.
Okay.
This one I'm just saying for emphasis.
All right.
But one of the things I know I work with my team on was we wanted to also put pictures of what we are doing in each of these 4 continents as it regards real estate. If you have been following my brand, one of the things you will notice is that I'm big on practicing what I preach. I don't know if you noticed that. So I'm not your usual motivational speaker where we're just inspiring you. No, my books are about things I'm doing. They're about sharing lights on my secrets in business and how I'm doing it. So I realized there were a lot of requests. People were asking, how do I start real estate business, particularly internationally. I was shocked to know that some Nigerians think that if they are not US residents or US citizens, they cannot buy property in US. Some Nigerians still think that you can never own real estate for life in Dubai. That if you are buying real estate in Dubai, it's not yours for life. And all these things have since changed. So the book is able to really give insights, the unique markets, what's different, comparison between Europe markets compared to Asia market or Middle East market, Middle East market compared to US market, US market compared to what? African market where we have Omonile. Hallelujah. Right? So we're able to give that context around the issues around it. I must apologize that typically I don't do local prints, right? So typically I buy directly from Amazon because that's foreign print and the quality sometimes is a lot better than when you print it locally. But because of the timeline for this book launch, we had to print locally. And so you permit me that, you know, it may not be as compared to foreign prints. I mean, these are realities. I'm just doing full disclosure. Okay. The second book is called The ABCs of America's Real Estate Investment. So in this second book, we then focus primarily on the US market. How many of you are aware of our $200 million US expansion? Can I see your hands up if you are aware of it? Okay, some of us are not aware. So we've been heavily pushing our US projects right now. And we have a 99-acre where we're doing more mixed use. And then we start the construction for that should be completed by the year 2030. We have another one in Tidwell. We're starting construction in the second quarter of 2025. We have another in Richmond, 89 housing unit, 2 bedroom. So we have the various projects we've been pushing in the US, and we thank God for grace, for speed, and for fundraising as well, because of the 200 million, we're able to get institutional investors who are giving us, you'll be glad to know, $140 million already. So the only part we're having to raise is the $60 million, and God is helping us with that. So I then got a lot of people saying, how do you do that? You know, even some of my friends who have been in the US doing real estate for 20 years, they've never even dared a singular project of $5 million, talk less of $200 million, right? So I started getting some genuine care and genuinely wanted to learn. Some, of course, were jealousies as well. One even sent me a message. I said, me and you, we attend the same church. We are doing the same business. You know, I'm even older than you. And the way you are moving, what am I doing wrong? I mean, I didn't even know how to answer the man. I didn't know how to answer him. So I then felt, you know what, there's no point for, you know, whether your question is genuinely because you want to learn, or out of whatever, we all can fly. I don't know if you agree with me. There's only traffic on the floor. Who knows that? There's no traffic in the air. All of us can do our multi-million dollar project, multi-billion dollar project, and none of us is affecting each other. I don't know if you agree with me. So I said, put it in a what? Put it in a book. That way everybody knows it. Everybody knows how to go about their own as well. And they can build their own um, business empire as well. I promise you, it's one of those good books. And I want to please help me celebrate Mr. Barry, Mary, our team from the Akintayo Foundation. They work tirelessly, and if you have ever worked with me, you will know that it's not easy working with me. So, good job they had to do. We will also be adding one more book actually to this tree, which will be focused on realtors, right? Just teaching people who want to sell real estate, how do you sell, and to help those who are realtors. Now, good news. Good news, I thought you we are putting all the profit from these two books are going to a new food bank we are launching in Houston, Texas, and in Lagos, Nigeria. Are you happy to know that? And the goal of the food bank is to feed 1 billion people in the next 50 years. Are you glad to know that? Right, so technically, we're not selling this book. We're just asking people to donate in exchange to then get some copies. I hope this is understandable. So, for example, each pack has 6 in them. The reason we put 6 is you want to give to your friends, give to your loved ones, and all of that. And that's for 100,000. But you can choose to say, hey, I want to take.
Sorry, $100,000. Okay.
Not dollars. Okay, thank you.
Right, so thank you, this is better. So each box is 100,000 naira, but you can choose to say I'll pay $1 million for it, or I'll pay 5 million, because it's a donation towards a food bank. I hope this makes sense at all. So, and for me, that's one thing that is laid in my heart to do in the next 13 months. We want to have a food bank in Lagos and a food bank in Houston, Texas, where people can come and get food for free, right? I think that we need to take the subject of hunger seriously, right? Some of us here don't have that problem, but you need to know people, and I've been there. When my mother died of ovarian cancer, she was our breadwinner. I remember, I'll never forget that day. My older brother is not here, which is a corroborated story. His wife is pregnant, right? We're all in these 2 days we did not eat, right? In fact, me and him had to sit together. You know, poverty will make you creative. I said, we can't continue like this. So his whole creativity was to get a Ghana must go, dress up in suit with a laptop to start selling vegetable. He had a friend who had a vegetable farm. I had to go to that one and say, okay, give me vegetable. I'll go to all these restaurants of Igwe and Ota then. So all these big companies in Ota, they have big restaurants. So he will stack the vegetable in Ghana must go, right? And then in Suto, and then approach them. In fact, many of them said to him, we've never seen anybody sell vegetable to us, right, in a Ghana must go before, and then dress in suit, and a graduate. And most people who sell vegetable are old women tying wrapper. And so they said, we already have suppliers, but we'll give you 1 day of the week to be supplying because of just the way you look. Now, in my own case, I was selling bulk SMS. So I would trek 20 schools per day because again, I didn't have money for bike. And so you need to see some of those pictures. They are really, when I look at myself then now, I now realize why my father-in-law refused to give his daughter to me. Because I wouldn't give me to you, to me, right, looking at those pictures. And then I would go telling them we sell bulk SMS, you need to buy SMS. I'm sure those who patronized me then just pitied me, right? They just pitied me because I really needed it. And if I didn't sell, we're not going to have food to eat. It was that bad. So for me at this point, it's time to start paying forward. Do we agree? And yeah, you know, it's time to start paying forward. And part of it for me is to say all profit from this book, we'll just set up a food bank and make sure nobody has the kind of experience we had And we're graduates. You will say such shouldn't even happen to people like us, but it still happens. And that's why for me, the food bank is not just for what you say is for the poorest. Sometimes people just find themselves in a situation where there is no food, right? And they need something. And we're going to be one of the most dignifying food bank you will ever see in Africa. I promise you that, right? Where it will be dignifying, right? Because I'm big on charity with dignity. How many of you agree with me, right? You don't need people to strip their dignity just because you want to help them. Those are some of the things. Those are some of the things we want to talk about. Finally, I need you to know that all of us need real estate. This hotel is real estate. Your church is real estate. Your restaurant is real estate. The house you live in is real estate. The office you work in is real estate. Every economic activity rides and stands on real estate. And your ability to understand what real estate holds and offers, how real estate works, is the only way you will build lasting wealth. Companies that today are doing well and do not invest in real estate, years later eventually regret. Because the only real asset, that's why they call it real estate, is real estate. That's the only real asset. So don't tell me, oh, me, I'm not into real estate. Everybody has to invest in real estate, everybody. And I'm not talking about real estate in terms of the house you live in, but real estate as a source of cash flow, as a source of passive income. Now, if you are tired of doing it in Nigeria, because your tenants will owe you, you can do it in America, right? And you earn returns in dollars. Now, even if you are doing Nigeria, the reason people are owing you is the location you are doing it. I remember when people started coming for my real estate class, like, oh, now I get why I didn't do well. I bought land in Abule Egba, and then I built my house. Now I'm learning from you that I should have done it in an estate, right? Where the caliber of people who rent houses there are what? People who can afford to pay my rent. Am I making sense at all? And the way those estates are even managed, you won't even see your landlord. It's the lawyer you are seeing. Who knows what I'm talking about? So there's no, somebody's coming to beg you, okay, landlord, sorry, I can't pay your rent, right? So there are structures that can help you to still do real estate in a way that will be profitable for you. And you look back years to come, your real estate investment is feeding you. And like the Bible says, a good man, a good woman, leaves an inheritance for his children's children. Thank you for coming. I really appreciate every one of you for honoring me. I mean, this Christmas season, all of you have plenty parties to have gone to. Thank you for coming. God bless you.
And Dr. Stephen shared a very emotional story about when his mother passed on and him and the brother were in the house. The brother's wife was pregnant, am I correct? Mm-hmm. His other brother's wife was pregnant and they didn't eat for 2 days. All right? Some of you, if you don't eat for 2 hours, you pass out. They didn't eat for 2 days, but that led into them being innovative, and the brother had to wear a suit, sell vegetables, and they just had to keep on keeping on. Now, I'm not creating an excuse for the Nigerian economy and the environment, but there's something about Nigeria that brings out the best in you if you let it.
Yeah.
If you let it. Sometimes I'm in gatherings and they say, oh, Nigeria is bad, Nigeria is this. And I always use this adage. I said, if you say Nigeria, pardon my French, if you say Nigeria is shit, all right, what is the best manure to grow anything? What is the best manure to grow anything? If you put a seed inside concrete block or inside shit, which one will grow faster? Which one will be nourished? So when people say things like that, and they say, oh, Nigeria is shit, is this science, I say, that's the perfect place to plant.
Yeah.
That's the perfect place to grow. It's not an excuse for some of the things we're going through, but it's also an opportunity. And there's a reason why we're winning Mr. Universe.
Yeah.
There's a reason why we are, in Nigeria alone, I think Nigeria is responsible, out of the unicorn businesses, I think there's, I'm not sure, maybe 5 or 6 African unicorn businesses. Nigeria is responsible for about 4 of them.
Wow.
All right, that's a unicorn is any business that has passed the 1 billion mark. You get look at Money Points recently. The examples are there. So when they say you are a Nigerian, it's a badge of authority. It's a badge of excellence. It's proof that as bad as a bad rich, once that Nigerian blood is flowing through you, you will excel. Even if some people don't want to align with it in other countries and they say what they feel, which they have a right to, they are also saying it on a platform where they won. And part of the reasons why they won is because they are Nigerian, whether they want to agree or not. So the question is, what do you want to do with this? You've been given a passport to prosperity. Irrespective of the country you're in, what do you want to do with it? And Dr. Stephen Akintayo is one of the numerous examples of people who have been able to excel here and take it outside and excel outside to the point that people that are older than him in the same business, in the same church, are sending SMSs asking him, not me and you, they this business. And it's bound to happen. You know, people will doubt you, people will underrate you, people will look down on you. But if your vision is clear, it's just an added bonus that you're a Nigerian. You will excel. All right, we're built different. So if you know you're sitting next to a Nigerian, give yourself a round of applause. Is there any half caste there? It's not too late. You can find your Nigerian wife or husband. Okay, so very quickly, let's move on. Dr. Stephen Akintayo, the Mercy Food Bank. What is the Mercy about? Why Mercy? Why the food bank? Let's start with that.
Well, so mercy, because the greatest need of every human is mercy. You can't walk through this life and not at some point need mercy, right? We all, as humans, we are flawed. We are not perfect. Even spiritually, the greatest prayer you can pray is the prayer of what? Of mercy. There are error of commission, there are error of omission. You will commit one error one way or the other. And without the mercy of God, right, you really, in reality, cannot go far. We are all here by the mercies of God. How many of you remember somebody that died this year that you felt they were more righteous than you? I mean, you know these people holy. Anybody like that? And they passed on this year, right? There are people this year who have died, who are richer. There are people who have died, who are smarter. So why are you and I alive? It's by the mercy of God. But what I also understand about mercy is that to receive it, you also need to give it. The Bible, one of the biggest sinner of the Bible is David. True of us? Yet God said, David, a man after my own heart. And if you study the scripture, you also realize that one of those who passed mercy more was David. Right? We remember the story of, is it Rachel? There's one house, there's noise somewhere, I don't know whether it's inside this place.
It's from outside. Can we close the door, please, so that we
need to
can...
close the door. If it's outside, we can close the door, but I was getting some noise. I don't know whether it was Rachel in the Bible scholars, who had a foolish rich husband. George, you remember, no?
Rebecca?
It's Rebecca? No, it's not Rebecca. Abigail. Who had Nabal, right? Rich but foolish man. And then, of course, spoke some nonsense to David, and David said, I will finish this guy. And then Abigail, of course, wise woman, said, Papa, why kill the guy and have the blood on your hand? Right? Don't worry. And the man eventually died anyway. Foolish death. So, but my point is that if you check David's life, you see him show mercy. Even with his son, Absalom. Right? You just see. So, no wonder he received it as well. So for me, I believe it's a home of mercy. It's a place where people come, and it doesn't matter what led them to be hungry. We're there to show mercy and make sure in a dignified way they are fed. And for me, that is, like I shared earlier, I've also been homeless. Growing up in my primary school days, because we were so poor, we were not having lunch food, food. People have this lunch box and all of that. We didn't have. So I'm waiting for my colleagues for their beans cake, for their yam to fall to the ground. And that's what I literally would pick up and dust. And that's my lunch. Right? And so if you've gone through those experiences, in 2019 I was seeing an IDP camp in Maiduguri, just to go and reach out. We do a lot of food program, we work with existing food bank even now. But I just felt we needed to do more. And the vision is to feed 1 billion people in 50 years. Right? If you know me, you know I don't do small things. Yeah, if you want to clap. Right? And I look long term, and I think long term. And so for us, that's the idea. And I felt I've always been, if you read my book, Billionaire Habits, you see me teach about win-win. So I have a culture of win-win. My structure is always, if we want people to donate, then let's give them something. And for us, it's an opportunity. Okay, people want to learn more about real estate from me. So now you have a book on that, and in exchange, you can also donate towards a cause that will change lives.
Thank you very much for that. Page 22. Now, one thing about wealth, when you do have it, there's this analogy that was given, I can't remember by who or where, so if you give a poor man $1 million and you give a rich man $1 million, there's a strong possibility that the poor man will squander it, maybe a month or two or a year or whatever, and it's gone. The rich man, on the other hand, will take that 1 million and maybe turn it to 5 million in the same period of time. So you begin to understand that poverty, being poor, has a lot to do with the mind, and being ready to manage the wealth that comes, which takes me to the question of relationships. Page 22, chapter 2.1 talks about the power of relationships in your book. That's for the Global Real Estate Investment Handbook. This one I'm particularly interested because it covers 4 continents. So I want to start with relationships. And you mentioned something here, and I quote, you said, one crucial principle to remember is never approach a wealthy person asking for a favor. All of my mentors are significantly wealthier than I am, and have never met any of them without bringing a gift, not once. It also goes on to show how you sponsor more than 10,000 children through school, not because you feel obligated to them, not because you owe them anything, but each month the foundation donates $5,000 to small business owners, and of course it goes on and on. There's a lot you do. But let's talk about the power of relationships. From a man who started with literally nothing, what can you say is the direct correlation between relationships that you build and the wealth that you have? If you follow his page, he's had a lot of people on social media in his courses, from the religious sector, from the real estate sector, from the business sector, from the entertainment and lifestyle sector. He has cut across different sectors, and the relationships he met, we were just even still talking, about one of the relationships where the person showed up for him, not asking, bought the tickets, and he hasn't asked. Is it that you haven't asked anything from the person, or the person? Yeah, he's giving, and the person is like, what? The person hasn't asked anything from him. So tell us that, because I think that's one of the greatest assets that you have, the power of relationships. Tell us more about that.
And thank you for that question. I think that if you look at it, wealth and relationship goes hand in hand. There's a reason why rich people have rich friends, right? It's just the honest truth. In fact, if you notice, how many of us here have had an experience where you touch some of the biggest money in your life, only for the money to disappear and you don't even know why? Any one of us have had those experiences. And when you then, anybody please wave your hand. I love interactive class. Have you had such experience? Right? You touched some of the biggest money, and then before you know it, everything is gone. Now, if you then try to keep track, what do you notice? My auntie said she needed money, urgently had to send. My urgent 2K, my uncle, my brother, my sibling. My bottom line, you are a one-eye man in the world of blind people.
right? So it's a matter of time, everything was gone. But on the other hand, wealthy people, because everybody is wealthy, what's going on is that job is moving from me to you to me, and we keep getting richer and richer. I was sharing somewhere, I don't know where it was, and there was this over $200 million project here in this country. And they are a bit behind, and they need to complete this project in 11 months. And yesterday the project manager was talking. He said, look, at this point, I'm begging contractors. In other words, what is left in the project is probably $30 million. They have the money cash. It's not that they will mobilize you 10%. They can give you all the money cash. And yet, he's looking for people that he will beg to collect money to execute project for them. How many contractors lack projects in this country? Meanwhile, somebody has plenty projects and is looking for
Oversubscribed.
exactly, is looking for who to give it to. So, and that's what happened with wealth, because there's so much money moving. And that's, if you read the book, The Jewish Phenomenon, it's one of the things the Jews have understand. When wealthy people move money amongst themselves, right? Poor people take even the money they have out of their circle. They take it out. So if you're going to be rich, you have to be intentional about beginning to build relationship with higher people, high net worth people. And I got to realize that it's one of my biggest deficiency because I wasn't from a rich home. So how many rich people did I know? So intentionally, I then had to start working my way up, right? By, of course, giving gifts. I still mentioned in the church, the pastor is here this morning. I had to learn how to play golf. I had to, because I knew I needed to catch up to connect with high net worth people. Else, I would go back to my village. This is true. You just realize you are back to square one. And I realized that the more I connect with high net worth people, the richer I got. Right? The richer I got. Guess what? I also realized that those who are not even as rich as they are, by just seeing me with them, are now willing to do business with me. Yeah. Meanwhile, when they didn't see me with those calibers,
There's fake it to make it. There's Buga. So how do you find that balance when you find yourself in that room?
Beautiful question. So for me, I always argue that there's nothing to fake, right? Two P's you cannot afford to have: poverty and pride, right? It's a dangerous combination, right? If you are rich, well, maybe you can choose to be proud, it's a choice. But if you are poor, you need to be humble so that wealthy people can connect and help. Oftentimes, people think that wealthy people are these snobbish people, they can't relate, and it's not true. The data shows that 90% of rich people today were poor yesterday. They did not inherit it from their parents. 90%, more than 90.
So they understand the world of the poor.
They understand. They know where you are coming from. They know the background. The often challenge is that people come with entitlement. People come with that, if you are rich, help me. Right? And it's like, I don't owe you. Right? And guess what? You are just queued in the list of hundreds of people. If you check my inbox every day, whether on IG or LinkedIn, at least I will get more than 100 requests.
And not just any gigs, find out what they want or what they like.
Find out what they like, but be thoughtful about it. Sometimes it's not even how expensive. It's just the thought process. There's a way someone will say, this person really.
It's funny you should mention that. One of the greatest misconceptions is that you feel wealthy people have everything.
Yes.
I won't mention the name of the comedian. He's one of the top comedians. And I was having a discussion with the manager, just to segue on this point. And he was invited to the birthday celebration of a billionaire, top guy in the telco sector. Now, this is a gathering of who is who. The celebrant will never forget this comedian, and the reason is this. The comedian took I'm not sure about the exact amount, but either $1,000 in cash or something along that line. I think it was $1,000. And he looked at the celebrants during the ceremony and said, I'm going to give you something that nobody in this world has given you before. You know, he built the momentum and everyone, what could it be, what could it be? And he counted the money and he gave it to him. Do you know that celebrant said that nobody has given him $1,000 before?
Jesus.
Nobody has counted $1,000 to give him. Not that they've not gifted him things worth more than $1,000, but nobody has. Another story is of a colleague of mine in the same sector. I bought him this set of socks, tie, clip, whatever, and I gave it to him. I can't remember what happened. And I gave it to him, and he said that no one has gifted him anything in a while. So you'll be shocked that a lot of people you see in the Rolls Royce, in the big cars, the Rolexes and everything, they do not receive gifts. What helps if you do some research, find out what that person likes. Take the time to find out. If it's 5 people you want to impress in 2025, know that those 5 people, you're going to get A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Do you need something from them? Yes. Do they know that you need something from them? Yes. But it will be a memorable thing if you can get that thing, all right? And it doesn't have to be expensive, it just has to be thought through. I just thought to share that, sorry.
Thank you. Please, let's clap for him. And that's a fantastic one. I mean, it's a culture I try to do where a lot of the big people in this country, when I finally meet them one-on-one, you know what they always tell me? Oh, you sent me a gift 2 years ago. Right? Because I have a culture of December, I just make a list and I send gifts. I don't know them. Just send. So the day we are meeting is a case of, wow, I remember, and I'm shocked because I have forgotten that he or she was on that list. Right? I see a very top pastor in Shiloh. And I would greet her and say, yeah, you sent me a gift, you know. I didn't even remember. After, oh, yes, sir. So, thank you. We need to meet. We need to do some business. So, let your gifts go ahead. Are we together now? When you hear that scripture that says, the gift of a man creates room, right? It's not talent he's talking about there. It's that people become softer towards you when you give a gift.
And I think the best way to even look at this is, as you are sitting down now, if Dr. Stephen gets up and squeezes $1,000 in your hand, or squeezes a massage voucher, whatever it is, and he does it to everyone in this room, maybe we're about 100 in this room, irrespective of whatever we say here, what will linger in your mind a year from now, 2 weeks from now, 3 years from now, is that gift. Yes or yes? Yes. So never underestimate the power of giving. Never overestimate yourself. All right? They will remember. It's a seed sown. If they tell some of us here that, oh, there's visa in America, green card, go and find 10 million naira. If you get the 10 million naira, you're guaranteed green card. People will raise 10 million naira. Yes or no?
Yes.
Now imagine taking that same 10 million naira and seeing your green card as people. You take 5,000 or 10,000 or 100,000 and you get a list. And you get that list. It could be church, it could be business, it could be work, it could be a business card, it could be sweets, it could be a box you wrap with your name and your email address and your business. I honestly believe that some of the most interesting times in anyone's life is when you are poor. That's when you are innovative. That's when you think. That's when you're forced to develop yourself. Be careful what you pray for, because you just might get it. When you become rich and wealthy, sometimes if you don't discipline yourself, you become lazy, you become complacent, and then you find yourself back where you started. So it's very important to acknowledge that. For those of you online, please type your questions. I'll come to them so that we can take some of the questions as well. Moving on very quickly, still on, but there's also chapter 3, which is understanding real estate markets. Chapter 4 is real estate investment strategies. Chapter 5 is secrets to building massive wealth for investors in land banking. Chapter 6 is how I built my multi-billion real estate empire and how you can replicate. I would like to touch on chapter 6. I've known I know him as Mr. Stephen Akintayo. It's going to 15 years, if I'm correct. Give or take 15 years. So I have seen the evolution of his brand. He wasn't always so vocal in terms of the Instagram posts for those who follow him. But one thing you will be guaranteed about is that he will speak his mind. Right? Whether you like it or not is irrelevant. He will speak his mind. He'll put it out there, and there are those that will be for it, and there are those that will be against it. You can't go through this world trying to please everyone. Not because you're arrogant, but because you need to stand for something. People prefer people who stand for something. Donald Trump is an example. If you stand for anything and you're trying to be nice to both parties, you lose out on everything. But let me move on to chapter 6 very quick, because this one is a very interesting. How did you move? Do you remember your first, so this is your bulk SMS days. Do you remember your first major transaction that you took and put back in the business? How much was it? What led to it?
Well, good question. So first of all, I haven't pulled anything out of our business yet. In fact, it's in 16 years. You know, I'm hoping next year will be that year we'll start taking profit. We've always put back everything, and I think that probably helped. You know, Amazon had similar experience. And I think Amazon only became profitable last year or so, because they were always having to put back. And companies that do that always scale faster, right? If you're always having to, particularly for those of us who had to bootstrap our business, you know, some businesses you're able to do VC funding, before you know it, you've raised $100 million, you've raised this. We never, till date, had such opportunity where we just were till 16 years in the Nigerian market, we're not even taking car loan in 16 years, right? We've always been, what we don't make, we don't spend. What we don't make, we don't spend. So it's been that prudent, being, how do we maximize? I'll give you an example. Because we're using this venue for this book launch, we've had to see how to maximize it. We've done press conference in this venue today. Right, we've done global press conference, sharing what the vision is for 2025. We had a lot of media people here in the afternoon, just to maximize. Are we together now? And for us, that's one of the things that I think has helped us, because we kept doing that. Number 2 is transparency and integrity. One of the things, let me say this, and I shared it in church this morning. Integrity is, keeping to your word, right? Saying you will do this and doing it. But please note this, and we don't always teach this. Integrity is also communicating why you could not do it in the case where you are not able to do it. And this part, we Africans always fail, right? Because once situation change and we're not able to keep to our word, what do we do in Africa? We switch off our phone, we avoid the person, isn't it? Stories start changing. Meanwhile, real integrity is to communicate it. I promise you I'm going to pay you back this money. However, due to this and this, I'm sorry, things change. I will not be able to what? Meet up with what I promised you. So for us, that's one of the things that has helped us. In the course of business, things have not always worked. But I'm not ashamed to say it all. We're having a challenge. Like this year, for example, is one of the best years for us. But in the US, not in Nigeria. Right? Because inflation messed things up for us this year. And even the press conference we had to do is to say, all those who bought land from us, you have 30 days to pay us what you are owing us. Because people are owing billions. If you don't pay, you know what, we'll buy back the land. We'll give you back your money. That's the press conference. Because not many people can dare do that. But you know me. Right? We'll give you back your money. No fight. Right? But don't think you have land with us if you are owing us. And then
preventing us from making progress. Because you have land where you are supposed to do fence, you're supposed to start developing, because people just deposit and then they disappear, right? Or they pay for land, they are supposed to pay documents or development fee, they don't. And the development fee, you told them 5 years ago, because of inflation, cement that was 2,900, isn't it? Is now what? Is now more than 10,000. Are we together now? But what is integrity? Is to do that press conference, is to send that letter to everybody. We've been sending them letter of default. But now we will send the press conference, the video, and say we finally told the world, you don't have land with us, you have 30 days. That's integrity, right? But to go ahead, people committed money with you, right? And then you sell that land to 3 people, 4 people. You never communicated to them to say you are owing us. If you don't pay us on time, we will have to, right? Sell it to somebody else because we can't keep. So we must, myself and Dr. Cosmos are writing a new book called Scaling Your Business with Integrity.
Sorry, who's Dr. For those who do not know.
Who does not know Dr. Cosmos? Right, so
some are online.
Of course, Charis Group is the founder of Charis Group. Is a multi-billion-dollar company today. He also started just like me with 200 naira. I started with 1,000 naira.
I started with 50 naira. I have 60 naira now.
So me and Dr. Cosmos have similar background, but we're doing a book on scaling your business with integrity. And the part I want to talk about is communication. That you are not God. Things will not always work according to plan, but communicate it, and it's very, very important. So I think I'm just sharing a few things that has helped us to scale faster.
So
It has helped us, even raising funds from investors, we didn't do it on time. I think we started our investment about 4 years ago now, where we started syndication, crowdfunding, where people are able to invest. And we were glad to know we paid over $1 million in returns to people who invested with us as a company. Yeah?
because it wasn't you, doesn't mean you don't problem. It's not your fault.
Right, so, but we took our time, we focused more on sales. I had to develop my selling skill. So I focused more on, let's sell is what we make from selling that we used to keep running the company. So it took a few years before we now said, okay, let's start taking people's money. But by that time, I did a test run anyway, I think 2017, and I lost the whole money.
Please share that with us.
And yes, I had about 10 investors, got their money. So we were to expand our land business in Bejuleki. So I got about 10 investors, they give us their money. Then the first land, I make deposit, the day we want to put sign it, the youth will come out and say, who sold land to you here? He says, so person doesn't have land here. Right? And then we'll try another one. In fact, the last one was so frustrating because the woman is a chieftain of a particular political party. And when we're negotiating, I am a chieftain. You know how position, I have a name to protect. Check my name. And she has this in Lagos, there are names you mention that these are name of streets. They are like the core owners of Lagos, right? And so you just feel this person
It's good to go.
good to go. And again, we make a deposit as well. And the day we got there, Omonile showed up. I said, whoa, she only told us she wants to be an agent. I told my lawyer, do we go to police? I said, go to police, you admit she collected your money and she will never pay you back. And you probably will need to have paid police to have invited her. So you just waste money. So I lost all the money, bottom line. And then I remember we're at our company's retreat. I don't know whether you're even one of them. And I had to
La Campagne
calling. No, this one was in La Campagne. As at La Campagne, things have started getting better. La Campagne was a sign of better days.
Better days.
There are all these other locations in that same Bezeki that nobody even knows their
On Google Map.
And so I remember calling them one by one. They said, I'm sorry, things didn't go well. I mean, I felt ashamed doing it. Give me some time, but I promise you I'll pay back.
you know, and to the glory of God, it took me about a year plus. I paid everybody back, right? Yes, I paid them back. And the same with Reggie Lekki now has the largest cluster of our estate because God still gave us victory in that same place. Like we have many estates there today. But I then still waited till things got better and I understood the better structure. For example, the mistake I made there was I'll return your profit and your capital to you after 1 year. We don't do that anymore, right? So your capital has to be with us for 3 or 5 years, while the returns we can be paying you every year. So I learned, you know, and then we were able to restructure and then went back to raising funds and it got a lot more better.
Dr. Stephen, is it possible to avoid learning serious mistakes from other people's stories, or the best way to learn is to go through those mistakes yourself?
I mean, I would argue that somebody said only a fool learn from their own mistakes. Wise people learn from other people's mistakes. There's just no point replicating something. Either way, you will still make your own mistakes. So, but why add the ones you probably could have avoided by just learning from another person's story? Are we together now? I think there are some things you can just avoid. So my own argument would be learn from other people's as much as you can.
Yeah.
Guarantee you still make your own, you know, but it will just be too much mistakes if you don't try to pick and say this person made this, let me avoid it.
Thank you very much. Farouk, where are you? Farouk? Let me have Farouk, please, so I can get the questions from online. It's about...
Can I say that again? People don't buy product, they buy what? They buy individuals. So people are buying you. What you want to work on first is you. You need to look like who they are buying and what they are buying. Right? So that's the first thing you want to work on. Work on yourself. And when I say work on yourself, I'm not just talking about your outward appearance, but your mental construct. Right? I was just speaking with somebody recently, and he was telling me, oh, I want to do real estate in the UK. You do all this real estate in the UK. I want to buy land, then I'll do mixed use, I'll do residential, I'll do commercial. And I said, I just gave him a quick crash course. I said, in the UK, permit is the problem. Right? So it's difficult for you to find a land, and then they'll give you permit for commercial, permit for residential. I said, well, how about doing this? Buy a 3-story in a place where there's gentrification. They've already given permits for 10 stories and 20 stories, right? And then you buy that, and then you renovate that 3-story, and then apply for permits. So in the next 2 years, you are waiting for your permit, you are now getting good cash flow. By the time your permit comes out, you take what? A bridging loan, and then go 10-story up. And then you refinance when you are done. Pay everybody off, and you've made good money. People say, wow. Right? You know what? You are the guy for the job. Do you see the point now? So that's the approach, not just come and buy, come and buy, come and buy. Be a consultant, be an advisor, be able to really, really help people. And that comes from investing in yourself, knowledge, and all of that. Make sense?
John, is John there? Where is it?
Number 2 question is around what? Marriage? A lady, is the lady one.
Where's John?
Well,
Please stand up for recognition.
well, as regards the lady, I think the first thing is, my wife is here, so I can tell you my story. I visited her. Though in my case it was easier because I was a mentor. We met on campus, but I was a mentor. And I was also a pastor, right? And I had invested in her. I mean, our first meeting, I invited her for a training. She said she didn't have money. I paid for it. She said her sister would not allow her. I came to meet the sister and convince the sister to allow her to attend the training. So I invested in her, and truly it wasn't even about relationship. I was in another relationship. I did that not just for her, but for many male and female on campus. So it was just investing in people the way I still do today, right?
So it was easier when I told her I didn't have money, but I gave her a vision. I told her I want to marry you. In 3 years' time, I will have my office in Ikeja. I'll be this, I'll be that, and I want you to marry me. And she also saw me hustle. I started selling popcorn on campus, I hawk electronics. She saw it. Because some of these, we young people, is I want to be, I want to be, I want to be. People need to see your baby steps, right? The result may not be there, but let's see your what? Your baby steps. So she could see my baby steps, and she knew that at some point it will work. So she was the one that believed in the vision. She was the one that got the vision. In fact, her father said she shouldn't marry me. And I got, yeah, may so rest in peace. And she married me without his consent, I kid you not. She believed that much, right? And before he died, he ate in that money. Amen. Because his argument was that I didn't look responsible. The day I met my father-in-law, I wasn't wearing a agbada then, and you need to see my picture. I look so skinny.
We actually have that picture.
Please,
I'm just kidding. I don't know whether. Can you find it if possible?
I look like a malnourished young man, and then I was busy telling. So he said, "Okay, what was I doing?" I said, "I own my business." So what do you do? I said, "Digital marketing." And in those days, all these older people, which was digital marketing. Then he was asking again, "Okay, where are you from?" Omobo. There was no one important personality in my lineage. So the man gave up. So he told her, he said, this guy is not responsible. He can't take care of you. Right? But she so believed that this guy is going places. And we thank God that, over time we reconciled. On the 60th, I spoiled the man. Spoiled the man, really. And we had a great time before he passed on.
John, this doesn't mean you're going to become pastor and be mentoring this.
But lastly, let me also say, marry your level, right? So, there's just no point going above your level, right? There are certain ladies that you don't need to waste your time. They are above your level. So marry at your level. Am I making sense at all? I will add that. That's important.
John, are you there? I have a lot of faith in you. All right? Women want a plan and they want security. It's less about love. That's the misconception. The love comes. If it's there, good. If it's not there, a woman will gradually over time love you. They want a plan and they want security. What did I say? Give a woman a plan, make her feel safe. Trust me, you can get any woman in the world, but you start at your level. So the question is, whoever this lady is, her circle.
Why this?
Is the picture there? There we go. Before and after. If any of you are doubting that there's a living God, this is the proof. And the older you get, John, the more you realize.
They can afford to buy this food for themselves.
By the way, clap for Dora. She's her late father is a really great man, born king, amazing man. So can we celebrate? Her mom is also here. Good to see you, man. Amazing. One of the things that I think when we get to that bridge, we'll cross it, because when it comes to helping people, you never really can totally be able to say you can decide, particularly when it comes to food, right? Because somebody can look good and you don't know what they're going through. I told you we haven't eaten, my brother dressed up in suit, right, and had to be selling vegetable. If it inform anyone that we have not eaten for days, will anybody believe? He was in suit now, he's a graduate. The assumption would be that no, you are not really struggling. And we see a lot of that in Lagos. Lagos and Abuja is packaging. A lot of people are going through a lot, right? But everybody is just packaging themselves. So I think when we get there, we'll cross it. Those who are managing the food bank, we figure out a way to make sure that we can track and we can, at best, at least you've gotten it once, we can track to be sure you are not coming back again or something like that, yeah. But thank you for that question. Okay?
That's a great question. And of course, it's good to see you. And of course, Ms. King, it's surreal. So I also knew your late father as well. Great man. Great man. Any questions again?
Can we give out the mic?
All right. Is your name, what you do, and your question?
And we've got institutional investors giving us $140 million. So we are doing what we call syndication. Another word for it is crowdfunding for about $60 million. And what we're doing essentially is to say, you can invest, right? We are building the houses, it's our house, but as we rent it out or as we sell it, part of the profits we're able to give to you. And we agreed on a certain number of years, minimum 3. It can be 6, it can be 10, and then we still return your capital back to you. And because it's in dollars, you are assured. It's unlike in naira, where there's devaluation and issues. So I think that's something that appealed to someone like you, because you have your capital, you have your annual returns or 18-month returns. I think we have some brochure. Unfortunately, I want to apologize. My team did not pull what we call to action on the brochure, right? But I think they've used marker to put numbers. Is it there now? Okay, good. So you can see there's even timetable, like a breakdown. If you invest X amount, this is what you get, you know, and numbers to call. But yeah, and it's a sentimental project to me, because I don't know why we haven't had Nigerians do that big in real estate. I didn't even know what we're trying to do until we entered Houston, and Nigerians who have been doing real estate said, how dare you, you know, start this big? We've been here, you know. And I said, look, this is part of why racism continues. You can't end racism until you end poverty amongst black people. You cannot end racism until people of color start doing big things and people can see that, you know, the color of your skin has nothing to do with the quality of your mind. Do we agree? Yes. Right? And that we are people of color does not mean we can't do great things. And I think that's really how we begin to change the perception of people about us. All through my media engagement in the US, I dress this way intentionally, right? So that they know it's not all Nigerians that are, you know, scammers, that are yahoo, that are, you know, some of them are real estate developers, real estate investors. And it's beginning to change the perspective of people about us. So I think these are types of projects we should be proud of, because beyond that, we'll make good money. It's also that it's a project you can say, hey, I'm happy to have, you know, been part of this. And I hope it's something you'll consider.
Gianna, does that answer your question?
I told my wife that, look, this guy is going nowhere. So, I mean, most people, they didn't give me a chance because I didn't look like somebody going somewhere. I didn't look it. You know, there are certain people who look intelligent, they had, you just could tell. I did it. I dressed badly. I look like, I mean, and I grew up in the north, so I, you know, even my tenses, everything wasn't just merging, right? I was speaking with a pastor recently. You know, I can even say publicly, Reverend Victor Adeyemi, and he said, I know you a bit before we met. I think we met 6 years ago. He said, I've been studying. You said your words were big, right? But, you know, it wasn't matching. He said, I watched you in the last 6 years close the gap between your words and what you are doing, right? So for me, it was that I knew that we're going to do great things. I was talking it, but all I had was the words, right? The rest wasn't there. So it took a while for the result to begin to match the speech, right? So did I doubt myself? Yes, I had reasons, occasion to say, am I sure? But I didn't have a choice. You see, you know, some of us have a choice. Some of us didn't,
right? We're down. I told you now, 2 days we didn't have food. Now, I had myself and my brother, we still have 3 siblings. They needed to eat. His wife was pregnant. She needs to eat now. A pregnant woman needs to eat.
And the baby in her.
And the baby in her. So we both just had to go to the street and start pushing. Right? So we didn't have a choice. And I think if you are here and you are finding yourself go back on your dreams, it's probably because you have a choice. You say you have one uncle somewhere deceiving you or sometimes sending you something. But if you really, really are down, you have nowhere else to go but up. Does this make sense at all? So for me, yes, I doubted, but I didn't have a choice. I just had to keep pushing.
And also, Nonya, another thing is sometimes maybe your dream is not strong enough. That's why you back out.
Yeah.
If you're convinced about what it is that you're to do, I tell my wife and some of my students, I say, I don't live in now. I live in that time of whatever it is that I'm thinking about. And that's what gets you through. Secondly, I think it was Arnold Schwarzenegger that mentioned this. He's a man that won Mr. Universe 7 times, became a governor. His trajectory and his career path is one that is amazing if you really study him. Yes, we know him as the Terminator, but if you look at what he had to overcome to become...
Couldn't speak English.
Couldn't speak English and all that stuff.
Yeah.
He says that I don't have... Okay, I'm trying to imitate him again. He says he never has a plan B. It's plan A, plan A, plan A. Plan B sometimes gives you a way out and weakens plan A. So if you're very convinced about something, no matter how small or big that thing is, you need to follow through. And more often than none, you will overcome it and you will get that thing. So doubt is part of the process, achieving is part of the process. And when you hit that jackpot, whatever that thing is, the fulfillment that you get can't be put in words, can't be quantified in money, in any currency, in any time, in any space. Trust me. Okay, so I wish you all the best. All right, any other questions?
So I had to get the mentorship from my father. One of those books was Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad. You know, I mean, the day I finally was able to pay and host Robert Kiyosaki in person, I felt like crying, right? And he had no idea who he has been to me, right? I can give you many people, so I just had to buy their books, and that's why I keep writing books, because I'm aware that I have at this moment almost 3 million followers across all social media platforms. Not everybody can meet me in person, right? You can even see this little, we're still doing this version in Abuja. You can see how congested this place is, and we have to be picking, you know, who we can even give access, because I mean, so not everybody can reach me based on what we are doing and how we inspire people. But the book can go where I cannot go, and the book can really teach more and share more. So for me, mentors helped, but for a long time, I couldn't meet them one-on-one because I couldn't afford them, they couldn't afford me. I hope you know. Right? But in recent years, as my results started speaking, right, many of the people I've been looking for started calling me. Right? I was shocked the day Bishop Oyedepo called me himself. Bishop Oyedepo called you. Yeah, it hardly happened. Right? And then invited me to his house. We had a great conversation. I can give you a lot of those kind of humbling experience of people I look up to, because Bishop Oyedepo is my spiritual mentor for over 20 years. Right? But I never even had a sit down with him for over 20 years. Right? But when the time came, he called. Right? So, and that's the reality of our life. There are some people you are chasing today. Don't worry. When your testimony and results start answering, they will call you. But go for their books, go for their materials, you know, consume it, act on what they are saying till you start getting results that will get them to say, wow, you know, you mean you said I inspired you, I want to get closer. Even Dr. Cosmos Maduka the same. When I told him that, we met at the airport, and I said, I gave him one of my books. I said, by the way, I talked about you in this book. You know, and he was really humbled, and that's how we started our relationship. And it's been one of the best mentorship relationship I have as well today. But it took me years before I could get that level of, and I'm happy it took me years, because by the time I then could access them, I also was mature to manage those relationships.
Yeah.
Right? You will hardly find me ask any of my mentor for money. Right? If Dr. Cosmos is here, he will tell you, if I ask him for $10 million, he will not ask me to sign any document. Not one. But I've never asked. It's not because I don't need it. Right? Because I don't see mentors as people you prey on. Am I making sense at all? They are people you learn from. They teach you how to fish, not giving you the fish. When they give you the fish, sometimes they weaken your quest to be hungry, your thirst. Right? So if they give you, accept it. I'm not asking you not to collect money from mentors they give you. But not that you meet people just because, yeah, give me. Are we together now? Go for the what? Go for the lesson. The lessons are more important than the money. And God will help us all.
Amen. Please, ones. And also it takes time. You said 20 years, I think? Mm-hmm. It takes time. I was on a stage first week in December, called The Experience. I'm sure you all know about The Experience. Despite being a member of the church for about 20 years, despite being one of the top MCs in the country, the opportunity didn't come until last year and this year. And if you know, House on the Rock is the church I belong to. We are exceptional in any sector for those who have been there long enough, which means that there is quote unquote competition. There is, somebody has to quote unquote leave before you have an opportunity. For those who studied media, who did radio, if there's a breakfast host, like in my time it was Dan Foster. I grew up listening to Dan Foster in Unilag. I ended up working with him at Inspiration FM. I ended up being his boss at City FM as the head of programs. And we became lifelong friends till he passed on. It happened. Pastor Paul called me 3 days ago, telling me how good a job I did. Not that he didn't know me, not that he doesn't know my family, but there is a moment that comes where that 20 years, that 10 years prepares you for that one moment. And that is the most scariest stage you can be on. It's millions of people across the world. The experience stage. It's a very spiritual stage. It's not just about your talents, it's about being ready. If they gave me that opportunity 10 years ago, I probably would have fumbled. Mm-hmm. If they gave it to me 15 years ago, I probably would have fumbled. So you need to give time for that opportunity to come, whether it's a mentor, whether it's a business opportunity, whatever it is. And like Dr. Stephen rightly said, now he was prepared. Do you get it? So it will come. And these mentors, you don't necessarily have to have them on a first-name basis. Everything most good mentors can do, they're already doing it, either in books, online, Twitter, Instagram. You can follow it. The question is, what are you practicalizing based on what you hear and what you see? And that's the difference. And hopefully we'll get to that point. Ladies and gentlemen, please, a round of applause to Dr. Akintayo. Thank you very much, sir. And we are proceeding to the moment we have all the way.
Africa, Emilade, Africa, Emilade, Africa, Emilade, Africa, Emilade, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Africa, Emilade, Africa, Emilade, Africa, Emilade, Africa, Emilade, oh, yeah, yeah. I am not economic migrantee. I am not political terrorist. I am not the fraud email that you see. I am not the land of poverty. Lie, lie, da 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 da. I am not economic migrantee. I am not political terrorist. I am not the fraud email that you see. I am not the land of poverty. Lie, lie, da 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 Africa, Emilade, Africa, Emilade, Africa, Emilade, Africa, Emilade, Emilade. The version of me you're creating your mind is not my own responsibility. Your version of me, the one you took with the book, is not my own responsibility. I am a generation away, a dream come true in the image of God. I am a definition of humanity.
Round of applause to City J, ladies and gentlemen. I talked to both of them here in our midst. We talked about integrity earlier on, and the caliber of people here speaks to the integrity of Dr. Stephen Akintayo and the mission he is on. Mrs. Ubon King, who mentioned earlier on, thank you very much for being here as well. I think your daughter Adora, Adora was here a couple of minutes ago as well. We also have Mr. Dapo Shunibare and his son with us as well. Please stand up for recognition. The son is obviously more good looking than the father.
Isn't that our prayer?
It is the prayer, sir. Same thing with the bank account, it should be more. We also have the CEO of 9 Mobile, in the person of Mr. Femi Banigbe. Thank you very much for being here as well, sir. And Dr. Christopher. I have Dr. Christopher here. Oh, there we go.
I'll just say Mr. Christopher.
Mr. Christopher. Dr. Mr. Christopher. I'm just here. Thank you very much for being here as well. And of course, to each and every one of you that has been here. And what is the feedback coming from? Okay, I think it's you guys, the press and the camera people. Thank you very much. So we can move that here.